Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gloria and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today I wanted to do an updated Hoya how to care for them type of video. So if you enjoy these kind of care tip type videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my new videos. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So today we're pretty much gonna talk about lighting, watering, how to propagate, humidity, and just show you a few of my Hoyas. So I'm not going to do an entire kind of collection video on my Hoyas just because I have way too many, and if you guys want to see that, make sure you comment down below so that I know. And yeah, first off, we're going to go with lighting. So with Hoyas, they're very similar to kind of the whole genre of like tropical plants, and they just like bright and direct light. So they could survive in kind of lower light situations, but I wouldn't say that's ideal. So definitely more for medium to bright light is what they kind of lean towards. Sometimes they can even do some direct sunlight, more so kind of morning direct sunlight. So if you have an east facing window, that would be good, but a west facing window or a south facing window, you should probably pull your Hoyas a little bit further back. They do get kind of sun stressed, some of them, so it kind of turns a very beautiful red color. So I would say something like Hoya Sunrise, Hoya Rebecca, that sort of type of Hoyas, they turn a beautiful red color when they get sun stressed. But other Hoyas can definitely burn if you put it in direct sun with no cover and you leave them outside. But because they have kind of more succulent and waxier, harder leaves, they could tolerate a bit more sun than, you know, something with very thin, flimsy leaves. So, but they do end up burning if you kind of just forget about them. So if you do want to bring your Hoyas outside, I would say you have to acclimate them outside before kind of letting them be out in the sunlight. Next, I'm going to talk about watering. So for watering, I definitely let my Hoyas tell me when they need water. So when the leaves kind of get a little bit wrinkly, they're softer, they don't feel as kind of succulent as they normally do. So let me show you here. This one is my Hoya Numerarioides Pink Corona. So with this one, I have really hard succulent leaves. They're even a little bit fuzzy. So yeah, if you squish them, they don't really bend that much. You can't really, you know, fold them in half like something like an aglaonema. You can actually just bend the whole leaf in half. But this one, they're very hard and succulent, so they hold a lot of the water inside the leaves. So even if the soil looks very dry, I don't know if you guys can see in there, the soil looks very dry, feels very dry, I would still not water this until the plant shows signs of dehydration. So once the leaves start feeling very soft, that's when I water it. So I definitely lean on the side of underwatering versus overwatering, just because these tend to die from root rot really easily if you overwater them. So I would say my Numerarioides is a very succulent type Hoya, but something kind of more in the middle where they're not kind of flimsy, but it's not also too thick and succulent, is the Hoya pubicalyx. So this is the speckled variety. I don't really know what the flowers are supposed to look like, but as you can see, these bend a little bit easier, but I wouldn't say they're very easy to bend, but they are a bit more flexible than the Numerarioides. So with this one, the leaves get really soft, and that's when I water this one. And I bottom water it just because it's a really bushy plant, so it's kind of hard to get to all the different, you know, crevices of the soil and making sure the entire root ball is, you know, soaking wet. And then I let it drain through, and then I put it back into its cover pot, which is this white plastic pot, just to make it look a little bit nicer. I find a lot of my Hoyas look better in either terracotta or white pots. So yeah, that's how I water them. So definitely check your plant and, you know, feel their leaves to see when they do need watering. Next up, for humidity, I find Hoyas don't need high humidity to survive like calatheas, so they won't brown and get crispy like thinner foliage plants, but they do like higher humidity so that they can grow faster. So I find they start throwing out a lot of aerial roots in the nodes once you kind of have it inside a high humidity environment. So if you have a propagation box, like a you know, big giant plastic container, or if you have a little greenhouse, or if you have a big greenhouse, whatever the case is, if you have higher humidity, Hoyas definitely love it. So something like this I had in my little propagation box. So this one is just my Hoya rotundiflora. So as you can see, there's like a few kind of aerial roots trying to come out of the node section, and that's because it's trying to just gather more of the moisture from the air. And yeah, it really likes humidity. All my small Hoyas, I tend to keep them in my IKEA soccer greenhouse, and then I just spray it and mist it. So it's super easy. I can do it all at once. I can keep the humidity high, and it's just fabulous. Moving on, I want to talk about propagation. So with propagation, I propagate my Hoyas a lot. So as you guys know, I'm always chopping up my plants. I like to share them with friends and family. I like to sell them. I do all sorts of things with my Hoyas. And the one I just showed you, actually, this rotundiflora, I actually propagated it from my mother plant. So this is kind of usually what I do. So I stick most likely 2 separate cuttings into a small 2.5 or 2-inch pot, and I fill it with some well draining soil. So usually just some potting soil mixed with like 50% perlite or something like that, just so it doesn't rot the roots or rot the stem when you stick it into the soil. So I just stick the cuttings inside, and after a few weeks it usually roots really well, and I find that works the best for me. I'm currently trying to propagate in moss as well. If you saw my previous video, I find that roots grow faster in moss, but I just don't like repotting the cuttings into soil after it's grown in moss, because it's really tedious to kind of pull off the moss off the soil, off the roots. And that's just my opinion, but I'm kind of trying both. You can definitely root your Hoyas in water. I find they grow a lot slower, but it's totally up to you. If you find it's less maintenance, it's a lot easier. You just make sure you have to cover a node and submerge it into water. So that's all you have to do for propagation. You just snip whatever plant, whatever Hoya plant, and then you cover the node in whatever medium you're using, either water, moss, or soil. So something like that. So that pretty much covers propagation. I don't think I have anything left to talk about for Hoyas, but I just wanted to show you kind of my Hoya carnosa compacta. So this one I usually grow in my greenhouse. So first I had it in my IKEA soccer greenhouse, the glass one, and then now I moved it to my actual greenhouse shelf, just because I find it grows better there and I don't have to water it as much. So there's this whole stem that pretty much grew in my care, and I'm so happy. And yeah, it's still a fairly small plant. Okay, so that pretty much concludes today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.